Oh boy, I'm ready to take on some of these raids. Can't wait to learn this, get some arcanes. Yeah, where is everybody?
How long have we waited for this moment?
Forgive me.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to... No, wait, hang on. Some of you guys have been saying lately that I sound like Matt Pat, so I don't know. It's a funny joke. Welcome back to the Joey Zero Weekly Warframe show. We've got some fun stuff for this one. Later on, we're going to be talking about trials a little bit. I know, a little bit of a trigger warning for some people. Also, this week, XandyPants is going to be talking about one-handed actions for the tip of the week. And I planned on having a weekly section about patch notes, but we didn't really get a whole lot this week. The arcanes now dropped from Terra lists. We got some new fonts, and there were a couple of other minor changes, but nothing that I'd really feel comfortable devoting a whole segment to. Anyway, with all that stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into it with our weekly weapon review. Hey you! Yeah, you. You want to develop better aim? You want to do some more damage? Or maybe you've already got amazing aim and you just want a weapon that'll let you show off those elite skills in style. Either way, boy have I got a weapon for you. That's right, today we're going over one of my favorite secondary weapons, the Dual Toxocyst. On its own, it's an alright weapon. It's an infested secondary weapon that does mostly puncture damage, but the fire rate is pretty slow and it's got some pretty beefy recoil. But the beauty of it is that if you can land a headshot, the weapon kind of opens up, gaining additional toxin damage, unlimited ammo, a much higher fire rate, and way less recoil. The buff lasts for about 3 seconds, but it is now refreshable, which means that you can keep up that amazing ammo economy as long as you get yourself a headshot once every 3 seconds. Basically, the better you are with your aim, the more of a monster this weapon becomes. Now, this weapon is a status weapon, which means that it can be really solid for stripping armor on high-level targets. You can reach 100% status with just 3 of the 60% status mods, which lets you be a bit more selective about your elemental combinations than you could be with weapons that would require a full spread of status mods. And finally, this weapon has a 4 out of 5 disposition, which is awesome. My Ribbon adds additional fire rate and additional status chance, which really lets me try to squeeze as much value as I can out of spamming while the buff is up. Now, it's no secret that I don't generally have the best aim out there, but I started using this weapon because the most valuable thing I like in my secondaries is ammo economy, since my secondary was usually a fallback weapon for me at the time. It used to be that this meant using strong one-shot, one-kill weapons like the Valkyr Prime, the Valkyr Marilock, stuff like that. But when I learned about the infinite ammo that came with the buff of this weapon, I started using it. A lot. And honestly, my aim has really benefited a lot because of it. Using this weapon regularly, even if you're really bad at aiming, really helps to train you to look for headshots when you otherwise wouldn't really need to. It'll be like you're playing with a handicap for a while, but I can tell you firsthand that it really does a lot to improve your aim. And building a habit of looking for headshots benefits every other weapon in the game, since headshots innately do double damage. So if you want to do more damage, this can be a really valuable habit to build. In the way of synergies, the buff does translate over to Mesa's Peacemaker as long as you land the headshot before you press 4. Remember, it only lasts for 3 seconds, so you've got to be jumping in and out of Peacemaker a lot to make use of it, and in a lot of situations, it's not the most consistent of buffs to maintain, so take that for what it's worth. The other synergy here is with Harrow, where the headshots are easier to land and are innately really valuable anyway, so you're really kind of min-maxing that added value per headshot in a really significant way. Honestly, I prefer the Nell for this same style of play because it synergizes better with the added crit damage, but there you go. So with all that explanation out of the way, let's see it in action a little bit. So that's it for this week's weapon review. I just went with the one that was the most requested. If you've got any suggestions for next week's weapon review, make sure to let me know in the comments.
Behold, our tip of the week, one-handed Warframe powers.
You can call me XandyPants, and this week, the tip of the week belongs to me. I'm going to show you the power of multitasking by showing you some Warframe powers that you can use while also shooting or reloading, such as Ash's Shuriken, which allows you to strip armor while also pumping out viral and slash damage to rip through that naked flesh. If a Warframe power is one-handed, that just means you can shoot or reload or whatever while you use it. The classic examples are often the first abilities of Warframe, such as Volt's Shock, which you can use to keep enemies still while you shoot them and while you reload in the middle of a firefight. But sometimes unexpected abilities can also be used one-handed, like Vauban's entire kit?
Wait, for serious?
Yup, turns out you can throw any of Vauban's tech while shooting or reloading. You can also use Mag's Polarize, as well as her Pull and Magnetize as one-handed actions, which is particularly nice because Polarize just got a new augment that causes it to disable weapons. With strong area crowd control skills like these, you can negate quite a lot of threats while the pain train keeps rolling. And there are some weirder and probably less useful things you can do. Since a one-handed action will not cancel aiming, one janky trick is to use a weapon with a scope to aim a precise skill shot type ability like Ember's Fireball. Fireball does hit directly on the reticle dot, but it can be difficult to aim precisely at long range without magnification. Since the ability is capable of striking precisely at these ranges, a scope can help a lot. You can see very clearly that using one-handed actions to their utmost potential results in spicy Warframe weapon synergies. And if you're hungry for more of those, check out my framework series in the description of this video. Overall, one-handed actions are only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Warframe power idiosyncrasies, where powers like Trinity's Link cannot be cast in mid-air, and other such oddities. Now listen, don't get me wrong, that stuff is important, but it's not as badass as the ability to throw shurikens while firing an assault rifle at the same time. I hope you've enjoyed our tip of the week. I've been Xandy, and you can find me elsewhere on the internet in the description of this video. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show, and I'll see you all next time.
Cast and hunted as game, trapped and tortured. Yet they remain
Oh no, I fell
animals.
over. Land.
Well, we needed some content for this segment, and it was somebody's job to put something together. Little did this fat, angry man to my side know at the time that this idea had already been visited by one talented YouTuber by the name of Quite Shy. So if you want to see more of this, make sure you check out her channel. The link will be down below. Now it's time for an unpopular opinion.
Warframe trials are the most undesirable feature within Warframe and cannot be removed fast enough.
Whoa. Hold up. Hang on. We have a thing for this. Fun story, did you guys know that the inspiration for this segment was originally taken from Riker's Community Complaint Corner? I named it Community Hot Topic instead because I didn't want to advocate baseless complaining. With that in mind, let's talk about trials! So, unless you've been just completely out of the loop for the last week or two, you might already know that DE are temporarily removing trials. This is going to be happening at the end of the month, and some preparations are already underway to get those rewards moved elsewhere in the game. For example, the arcanes now drop from the tier lists. Now, before we get into this discussion, there are two things that I want to make crystal clear right up front. First is that every shred of evidence we've been given so far shows that the vast majority of players don't want to do trials. Of the ones that want to do them, an even smaller amount does them regularly. If you're a daily raider, that doesn't mean that I don't value your opinion, but the rest of this talk is going to take that for granted. I just wanted to get that out of the way up front. The other thing that I wanted to say up front is that I want raids to stay in one form or another. It's no secret that I rarely run them, but that doesn't mean that I have no desire for them. Initially, I ran them so seldomly because of my work schedule and my social situation. In the days before Raid School Bus, I didn't have the work schedule to even consider joining a super hardcore guild to raid with regularly. I didn't feel comfortable getting carried with subpar gear while I learned what I knew was already a pretty complex game mode, and I certainly didn't feel comfortable taking that gear or lack of experience into recruiting chat. Now, I don't think DE wants tier lists to be a trials replacement with just moving the arcanes to the tier lists and all that. I think they just tried to find the content in the game that was the most similar in terms of player investment, and that fight was what they landed on. They showed us dark sectors, which I do feel like they want to be a trials replacement, but I find it hard to imagine that requiring anywhere near the same amount of investment, knowledge, or communication that trials once did. Basically, I've said all of that to point out that player engagement doesn't necessarily equate to player interest. Interest still seems to be low in comparison to some other game modes, but I just want to make sure that I'm being adequately represented by the metrics that were used to make these decisions. This is honestly a really big concern of mine, and it's one that I, unfortunately, don't expect to ever be addressed publicly. From what I can tell, player frustration and lack of player involvement leads to dev frustration and lack of further development, which leads to even more player frustration and even less player involvement. It seems like a vicious cycle to me, and it's one that I don't really have an answer for. The really unfortunate thing is that the only way I can think of to stop that cycle is to outright say, hey, if you hate what a game mode currently is, but you want to see it get better, you had better play the shit out of that game mode so that we know you might want further development on this. And that is a sad, scary thought. I mean, you guys know how much I love me some cute space kitties. I bred my latest one just to leave as a kitten to wander around my ship for the cute factor. Do I need to be worried about being statistically misrepresented as a Sentinel-only player because of an emotional attachment to a dead-end feature? That's a scary thought when the consequence may legitimately be outright removal of a feature I love. How much more so when it comes to a core part of the daily Warframe experience. Now, I said all of that because I just kind of wanted to talk about my opinions on the subject, a bit biased as they are, and really drive home the point that I want raids to come back somehow, someday. I do think that DE have the capability of bringing it back in a way that is better than the original. I just have no idea what that time frame looks like. 6 months from now, 36 months from now, redesigned, or, just the same as they are now.
All right, now it's time for JV. No, I'm just kidding.
Goodbye, guys.
Wow, guys, that hurt.
Well, okay, maybe not exactly the same as they are now, but there's not much in Warframe that holds as special a place in my heart as the first time I saw that Nightmare LOR cutscene. Even with the terrorist kills and the cinematic quests, there's not much that I look back on with that same sense of satisfaction of, I finally did it. TLDR, they're removing raids. I don't really want them to, but they're doing it. And in a game that changes as often as Warframe, you've got to adapt or die. So, you know what? Let's just do it. Band-Aid, let's get it over with. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It feels kind of short to me. Maybe this is just because we're trying to cram so much stuff into it. If you want more discussion about really any of the topics presented here, or if you have any suggestions for next week, be sure to leave those in the comments down below. Also, make sure to check out the other people that have been involved in this series. Make sure that you're subscribed so you can catch the next episode next Saturday. Thanks for watching. My name's Joey Zero. Okay, bye.